Hey everyone, this is Arsenal Fan Circle, Season 2, Episode 44, and the season ends on a really, really happy note. Like Rohan had said on Thursday night, it would make the season seem a little bit more bearable what we've had to endure through three coaches, two of them, previous players for our club. So let's get into it. Introductions. We've got Tanner up top here with me, the Bearded Gooner. Go check him out on YouTube as well. Gunda News, Mahir, the co-host. He's also got YouTube, Gunda News, and I've got Rohan here as well. You can always find Rohan on video as well,
Somewhere.
right?
I'm gonna be somewhere.
We can always find you somewhere, Rohan, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you're all legends. You're all legends. Uh, Tanner, we're gonna dig into this win. 14 FA Cups now. We stretch our lead over Manchester United. They're two behind us now, and they'll take some catching.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be honest, that point's kind of insignificant to me. It's nice. Don't misunderstand me. It's nice, but now the biggest thing, and I said this on your show on Thursday, was in fact I'm actually gonna. I don't remember who it was on Twitter. I literally just saw this probably 5 minutes ago, but it was someone who said they've never been less concerned with the actual trophy in a match where a trophy could be won than this one, and simply because the ramifications for this particular game were immense. It went so much further, so much deeper than just a trophy for this club. Nice to add a 14th FA Cup. That's great, and we'll cherish it for the year. But we're into Europa League, and I know there's a part of the fan base like, I'm so sick of playing on Thursday nights. I want my Tuesday or Wednesday night matches back, yada, yada, yada. But look, the fact is, it's an important competition for this club right now. It helps us attract players. It helps us pay for players. And it keeps us sort of in that top echelon, not the top, but near the top echelon of European clubs. So this was a massive win for our club. 14th FA Cup. It is a trophy, and look, I'm always down for watching a trophy celebration, even if the guy who touches the trophy first breaks the damn thing.
Well, the trophy just come in two pieces, maybe three pieces, because you have the lid as well.
Did somebody get in touch with the FA, please, and say, "Hey guys, we need one piece. It just one piece. So can we mold everything together? The lid is fine. Leave the lid. That can come off, and somebody can wear it as a hat like Charlie did in 71 or who did Pepe did it yesterday. But the base, let's weld that together so that we don't, because I could hear the FA officials on the sideline when Aubameyang was about to no, you have to pick it up from the base. So, and then he got it. And the best, you look at the picture after he dropped it, Lacazette's face, because he's got his phone. He's like this. He's like he's got his phone he's looking down at his phone. He's like this, like, oh my God.
We have a couple of viewers here who thought we had Lacazette in the bottom right-hand corner here, but it is Gunda News. Mahir Abrams from South Africa, the co-host of the channel. And Darren Gaming Boy, thanks for joining us. Arsenio Anka, thanks for joining us. And Rohan, this is all of the things that Tanner touched on. We talked about these things, the bigger scenario around the FA Cup. It's great to win the FA Cup. It's amazing to have a trophy. But the bigger picture is all of those six things, and they all kind of tie together.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. We discussed this on Thursday as well. How important this is for our club, right? Like, I'm very proud of the fact that this club, which has had the worst season in 30 years, has still managed to get a trophy at the end of it, and that's made the season a little bit better, and it's given hope for going into next season, because this is a new coach, been in the job only for 8 months. he's got he's got that first trophy, so he won't have that pressure going into next season, and he will be able to convince players to stay. Players like Aubameyang, he made a statement yesterday, just as big as the match. I felt, he said that I've had a conversation with him. I think he wants to stay. That's what he said about Aubameyang, and I have no reason not to believe that. So for that to show to other players that coming here, there is a project going on. We've got a serious coach in our hands. All of these things were proved yesterday. Not that it just hinged on yesterday, but it got solidified yesterday. It's in the record books. So, all of this is just so massive. And, I don't like being in the Europa League. I want to be in the Champions League. I want to compete with, the top teams in the world. Because let's be honest, the Europa League group stage is dead. Round of 32, we should generally be able to navigate it. We didn't this year, but that's not the competition we want to be in. But it's okay. It will help us in the long run. We'll be there. Our youngsters will get some experience. Our potential targets will know that we are in Europe. We'll get some money for our transfer kitty, and if things are to be believed, and transfers hinged on whether or not we get into Europe, now we have. So now the board needs to show ambition and back Arteta up.
Big up to Gunnar Glenn, Don, Juan, Arsenio Wonga, all these people, and Darren Boy in the comment section. It's really great to have a community of Arsenal fans worldwide, and we're enjoying this. You can see on the ticker tape. And 2020, we actually put together. I'm gonna call this is my nickname for the FA Cup. You know the way they nickname FA Cups. I'm calling this one right here the tracksuit final, because there was no FA Cup suits. Everyone was in casual attire, but it was just great to see.
Yeah, I'm actually, with that win, actually gonna go buy myself a turtleneck, a nice gray or black turtleneck. Emulate our coach, Mikel Arteta's or Mikel Arteta.
CWTT as well, and Urban Ghost.
Big up everybody.
They're here too. I try to get everyone in, but yeah, it was a really, really great day, Matt. Here, your initial thoughts on the win.
You know what? It's going to bring the spirits right up. It's going to be a big boost in a lot of things that we possibly can do. And I actually believe, people that are doubting Arteta, yes, a lot of us that didn't want. We wanted an actual coach. But you know what? With the things that are coming from Mikel Arteta's mouth, the things he's saying, the things he's doing, it's bringing the confidence in all of us all to back to being united all together. And they need to just back him. They need to back him. Get rid of all the rubbish or trash players that are never good enough or are not good enough. And obviously bring in the quality that will fight for us with everything that they have. With some of our younger players, the likes of the Tierney's and the Sakas and the Martinellis, this is a new generation. They basically, I'm so excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and Don Juan has called it the empty stadium final, and this harkens me back to 1936 when the TV crews were not allowed into the stadium. So Arsenal actually won that competition as well in 1936, where the pitchers had to come from above the stadium where they were circling around. They were not allowed into the stadium, as I say. But Tanner, the camaraderie, the things that Matt here touched on, and if Arteta wasn't a manager or coach when he took the job, he sure is now, because he's delivered. He's delivered a trophy, right?
Yeah, there was a thing I put up on Twitter, and it was, I can't believe that, and it's an old tweet, but can't believe Arsenal hired Arteta. It was right after he was hired, but I can't believe Arsenal hired Arteta. How are all of these, former players getting these big managerial jobs based on their past, playing experiences, and that? Did our fan base or anybody, of any fan of any other club, forget that Mikel Arteta was an assistant coach under Pep, and I don't get the idea that if you've never done it before, you can't do it now. Pep Guardiola didn't come out of his mother's womb as a head coach or a manager of a football club. He was a player. He went into assistant coaching and then became a manager. The top guy. So this idea that we shouldn't have. I mean, look, this proves well for right now. I mean, we are in a results-driven business, and it is a what have you done for me lately business. But as of right now, this is proof positive that the board made the right decision in bringing in Mikel Arteta. And like everybody, Rowan said, Mahir has said, everybody else is going to say in the coming days, in the coming weeks, the board have to back him. That being said, I don't want to see people freaking out if we don't get a target, because, again, it's not just this Arsenal knock on the door and the door opens and we're, take whatever here. Welcome, come, take whatever you want. It doesn't work that way. There are going to be prices that we need to pay, and we don't have all the money in the world, so we may not get a player. Yeah. Put your faith in the manager. Put your faith in a manager who took a group of men who weren't even playing for themselves at the beginning of the season, let alone one another. And by the way, this squad had 7 academy graduates in it yesterday. 7.
Yep.
This manager dragged this team at the beginning of his tenure, kicking and screaming, into an FA Cup final and won it. Back the manager. And if we don't get in all the players that we're linked with, all 739 of them, relax. My faith is in the manager.
Yeah.
My faith right now is in the manager that we may not get the stud center back that everybody's crying out for. But you know what? I'm going to put my faith in Mikel Arteta that the guys that we do bring in, he can coach them up and he can maybe make them world-class center backs, world-class, whatever the case may be. We don't always have to go and buy world-class players. So my faith, 110%, especially not that it was any less than that before. Yesterday just reaffirmed it for me. 110% in with Mikel Arteta. That's my guy.
My hero, Urban Ghost, is asking, where in South Africa are you from? He lived there 4 years ago. For 4 years.
Oh. I'm actually from a place called Polokwane, but it was formerly known as Petersburg. It's nearing almost the border of Zimbabwe, which coincidentally I stayed in as well for about 10 years.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, Gooners are all over the world. They're having a great time this weekend, and there's some talk about Partey. Will he come here? I think the attraction of the Premier League may be a big thing as well. And Norma, thanks for joining us as well, Norma. We can start next season with a trophy, the Community Shield, and that'll be a tricky game against Liverpool. But the Community Shield, Rohan, is traditionally a curtain raiser. It's used primarily for fitness of players, although we're talking about the 29th of August, right? That's just a day less than 4 weeks from now.
Yeah, and love a Community Shield, get off early start to the season. And it also is basically, it also gives you a perspective into where you stand in terms of, beginning the season. It's where you stand against the champions of the last year, which is going to be Liverpool. And, it'll be a good marker. And again, it's a good day out. If they win it, there's a celebration, and that should definitely get spirits up, right? So, I like the Community Shield, and we're in it, and, this whole situation with the FA Cup, and what Arteta has done. Arsenal have been typical Arsenal, right? We've dealt with Liverpool, we've dealt with City, we lost against Villa, we made it difficult for ourselves against Watford, and then yesterday we had such a masterclass against Chelsea. So it's up and down, and what we need is consistency.
And Darren Boy, Gaming World, he's right. He's worked his way up. He deserved the win yesterday. He worked hard with the team since Arsene Wenger and George Graham. He is probably one of our best managers. That's quite true.
I mean, the way that what was impressive, I'm sure that we will dissect the game a little bit later. But what was impressive was that we conceded in the first 5 minutes, right? And I was just like, does this team have the character to sort of come back after you've gone down? But you'd rather concede in the 5th minute than the 85th minute. So it was fine.
I think Thursday night, Tanner had posed that to us as well, Rohan.
Exactly, and then I'd say that for the first 20 minutes, Chelsea were the better team, but then Arteta showed in the first what a break, what a coach he is, and he just tweaked a couple of things, and from that point in, we just completely dominated the game. I don't want to get this wrong. I want to be fair that every call yesterday went for us. We got a lot of calls that if it did go against us, I would be gutted. As a Chelsea supporter, like whoever is a Chelsea supporter, I feel for them, that wasn't fairly judged. But we've had so many of them against us as well, and we don't control the referee. I mean, you have to deal with it. But I loved Frank Lampard's interview after that, in which he did not blame the referee. Imagine Jose Mourinho; he would have blamed the fixture schedule, the virus, the pay, everyone, right? Like he would have just blamed everyone. Lampard came out and said that there were issues there. There were issues with their injuries. It was unfortunate that they suffered 2 injuries in the game, and Pulisic was their main guy, and they suffered an injury there. It's similar to what happened to us against City, and we felt like we were unlucky, so we can acknowledge that they were unlucky there. But he said that we need to look inwards first, right? So we didn't win the game just because we had some decisions go for us, but because we were dominant.
Yeah,
for about 70 minutes of that game.
All the same, I was quite happy with the appointment of Anthony Taylor. I just had echoes of 2017. Everything happened the same way.
Even a red card.
Even a red card, you're right. A red card for Chelsea again. And everything just happened the same way, right down to the, I did predict that we would win 2-1, but it was more, it was a 50-50 game, and if you're going to call it, you're going to call it for your team rather than the other team, right?
Yeah.
Urban Ghost, man, I went to Polokwane on my way to the Kruger. Don Juan, I remember them days. I also remember when it was called Charity Shield as well, Don Juan. So, Tanner, tell me about you mentioned about the amount of young academy players we had in the team, but it was noticeable that Arteta went in our starting lineup for a lot of established players that have been there, done that, right down to even Bellerin, who would have a huge impact in the final say of the game.
Yeah, I mean the academy players, they were, they're on the bench, but they were there, and I'm not going to go into those who were conspicuous by their absence. We don't need to go down that road, but in a game like this, it's the last game of the season. I think Arteta got it spot on. I don't know how you would, how you could debate it. The lineup was exactly what we needed. It was exactly the lineup. There was one change from City, I think, or was it the same exact lineup that we went with against City?
It would have been the Mustafi. Mustafi was injured.
That's right. Yeah, holding for Mustafi. So, it works. And one of the things I was thinking about this yesterday, I was actually thinking about it earlier today. One of the things that I'm actually pretty excited for as I look towards next season, and I want to revel in yesterday for a little while. I ordered my T-shirt last night.
Don Juan also got the same shirt.
But looking ahead to next season, something that struck me from what Arteta has done this season is when we're preparing for our next opponent. So we start the season, we're going through the season, and you're going to get a feel for what clubs are going to do, what they're going to do. And clubs do different things year to year. I don't think City will necessarily be quite the same as they were this year. The same goes for Liverpool. Yeah. And what I see with Arteta is building a few different systems. We are going to be very comfortable in playing 3 at the back next year. I also think with a reasonable training schedule before the season starts, that we hopefully will be fairly comfortable and confident playing in a back 4 as well. So I like the idea of being able to switch up the system a little bit, just to throw the opponent off their game. And what more can really be said about the excitement for next year? And again, 7 academy grads, listed on the team sheet for yesterday, got to experience that. And for a young player to experience that, you want it again and again and again. So we're creating good habits. We're creating a winning mentality.
Consistent habits, consistency. And Rohan, in a season that Gunnar Glenn has just mentioned here, we've deserved this over the whole season. In a season where we seem like we've been affected by VAR a lot, were you disturbed by the VAR gods, the ghost of VAR during that game in terms of the penalty, the winning goal, all of these situations that could have gone against us but went for us?
Somehow I was pretty confident with the way the way Alba played. For that first goal, that's the mind of a professional, right? Like of a pro. He, first of all, tactical masterclass by Arteta, right? Like what he changed 3 things, right? He basically said that, AMN, you go infield and take James with you infield. Lacazette, drop deep and take Zuma with you. And then we're going to play a ball up top, and Auba and Aspi are going to get on in a foot race. And there's only going to be one winner there. And we did the same thing 2 or 3 times, and we were catching them again and again. And eventually Auba got in behind. There was just going to be one winner. He started getting tugged from right outside the box, but he knew that I won't go down here. Let me go in. And he had the presence of mind to get his body in between the ball and Azpilicueta. And then when he got pulled down and there was a penalty, I had no doubt that was going to be,
Even though they brought it back and you could see the dreaded line, this reminded me of maybe a previous game. They bring the thing back to a previous possible offside decision. I'm like, they're trying to look for an excuse here to scratch this off.
Exactly. But for some reason, I thought that, VAR didn't get involved as much in yesterday's game, because if it did, then Kovacic wouldn't have got that second yellow. That wasn't a second yellow, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to be fair. I'm happy. I'll take those decisions all day long, because there's so many of them go against us. But we can acknowledge them, right? Like after the game is over, nothing can change. They can't change the record books now, but we can be honest, and we can, sort of acknowledge that they were unlucky with their injuries, and they were, unlucky with the decisions. But that does not take anything away from the fact that we played brilliantly.
And Rohan, I'm not having anything about Hector Bellerin injuring Christensen in that winning goal, because I remember full well what Alonso did to Bellerin at Stamford Bridge a number of years ago, and there was nothing done about that. So they can be salty all they want. And
exactly. I mean, when it played in real time, I didn't even think that was anything. I was watching it along with my friend, who's a Chelsea supporter, and he did not say anything about it. And neither did Frank Lampard later. Only in slow motion you could see that it was out of reach for Hector, and he did go in, and it could have been given as a foul. But I mean, I'm happy with that. We got the decision, and these decisions go either way all the time. It's happening in such pace, and the referee is trying to follow the ball. At that point, I was just trying to see where is Oba, because he got a previous chance also similar to that, in which Lacazette played him through, but it was a little behind him, so he had to take a chance. He couldn't go in. And then that Messi sort of finish, right? You remember when Messi went across Jerome Boateng, he just went across him, and that's what he did. Zuma platform, he just went across and digged the keeper. Brilliant.
We'll definitely get into that, but we'll start through on the game here. And Don Juan has said 13 points dropped by VAR this season for Arsenal in the league season. So definitely compensation for us in winning a trophy. Mahir, we've had many, many years of supposed dominance by Tottenham, and they haven't come out of it with any kind of credible thing, a visceral silverware. We've actually been able to duck in here and there through the years and grab a couple of trophies. They've been FA Cups. But that just speaks to the measure of the two different clubs, right?
Two different levels. Tottenham what? What do we think of Tottenham, guys? We already know. And what do we think of shit? Tottenham. But it's two totally different levels of class. Two totally different levels. Even in their best of times, they have not won one trophy. Even in our worst of times, we've still managed to get three FA. Guys, I just want to say, Tanner, Rowan, you guys seen how salty Chelsea fans were? Oh my God,
Aaron Boy is talking about as well with Martinez. You're allowed to exit the box with your feet, but as long as you handle the ball on the line or any part of the line, then you are completely legal, and it was shown to be the case. But let's start out with the go ahead, Mahir.
A day and a half of excuses. That's all I heard. Yeah. Salty and excuses. Oh, VAR. Oh, the ref. That wasn't a second yellow card. Listen here. You guys probably didn't even want the FA Cup. That's what you probably said. So go start somewhere else, my friend.
Yeah. It was lovely. It was lovely to see Arteta come out on top in this situation versus Frank Lampard. But Tanner, let's get into the start of the game. How did you feel we started, and how did you feel we started the game? And definitely after 5 minutes, it was a little bit of a hiccup for us with Pulisic.
So we started the game a little tentative and a little scared. Mm-hmm. I think the nerves were there a little bit.
Yes.
Christian Pulisic, man. Look, as an American, I want to see him do well. But the fact that he plays for Chelsea, you had to go there. Better there than a few others, but come on, man. It hurts. But kid's going to be a player. Kid looks good. And just on the Pulisic thing real quick, when the transfer news broke that he was going to come to Chelsea, I actually didn't think he'd do that well here. I didn't really think he was quite ready for this league. But he's a player, and he has surprised me to no end. And the goal that he scored was very well taken. They are going to be a team that, for the casual fan, someone who, doesn't have a club they support, they're going to be a lot of fun to watch offensively going forward here in the next few years with the talent that they've brought in. But yeah, I thought we started tentative, little scared, little nervy. The goal went in, and I actually scoring that goal, I think that actually calmed us down, because it's almost like okay, all right, this is for real. All right, time to buck up.
Yeah.
After the goal went in, done. That was it. It was, we held down the fort, pretty well. We had a few other nervy moments throughout the match, but that's to be expected. I think I never thought we would actually pack it in the way we did against City and the way we did against Liverpool. I thought that Arteta would want to press forward more against Chelsea than what we did against City and Liverpool. So, but first 20 minutes, a bit nervy, and Rowan, I think, mentioned it before with the water break. Just a few minor tweaks here and there. Just don't overcorrect. It's just small adjustments in those moments. When you make the big adjustment, do that at halftime. But with this water break or the timeout as it's kind of being called now, small tweaks, just small little adjustments to try and just change a little bit of the flow of the game. But I actually think before the water break, we were starting to come on more even before that. And then once the break happened, I think Arteta was very happy with what he was seeing after that first 5 minutes, made the small adjustments, and that just carried us forward. In the first half, after the goal, we were far and away the better team. I thought Chelsea had some better chances in the second half, and we'll break that down further. Overall, the first half was, other than the goal, obviously. But
I really love the water breaks. They seem to have been an advantage for us because of Arteta just basically not being as acquainted or far along in the process as other managers that have their systems down. Arteta does need to constantly tweak things on the field tactically. But Rohan, let's break it down. We broke it down with Tanner. Let's do the Pulisic goal a little bit further. He breaks through midfield. What disturbed me a little bit on that? Go ahead, Rohan.
So that was one time in the game that they got in between the lines, right? They got in between Xhaka, Ceballos, and the three center halves, and that gave them a chance to run at the center halves. David Luiz and our center halves are comfortable generally if there's a physical battle. If things are in front of them, they're comfortable. Giroud, they can handle. But they have problems with Aguero, with Salah, with all of these guys because they run at them, right? That's the problem. But that's what happened for the first goal because all of a sudden they were in, one turn and they were looking straight at our defenders. It went out wide. It was a little unlucky that it took a deflection. Actually, it took a deflection of holding, and then it came over to Giroud. Giroud with a flick. I mean, he's good in the box. He flicked it, and there was great balance by Pulisic to take a couple of steps and have the presence of mind to dink it over Martinez. And I thought that, oh man, like this is not what we wanted, right? So that's how the first goal meant. I think it was a little bit of us being unlucky, and that luck was paid out in the second goal when the deflection went to Pepe and Pepe pulled it to Aubameyang. So it's
right.
It just balances out over the course of the game. But that's how they scored their first goal. And right after their first goal, there was another shot that Mount took, which was an easy save for Martinez. But I felt like he had the chance to slip in Giroud at that point. And if he did slip in Giroud, he would have had a better shot at goal. But yeah, lucky for us that it was still just 1-0.
Yeah, what disturbed me about I'll come to you in a sec, Tanner, then. What disturbed me was we had our three centre backs basically holding hands together, very, very narrow, and Pulisic was able to play. I forget the player now. Mount, was it? On the left-hand side. He squared the ball. Giroud has pushed Tierney a little bit. I don't know if anyone noticed that. He pushed Tierney a little bit in that build-up. So that Tierney was kind of out of position a little bit. And also, Tierney was a little over-eager to step up on Pulisic, who was able to step past Tierney from that flick from Giroud. And from there, it was a simple finish. Martinez really didn't have a chance. Tanner?
I see a lot of folks in the comments saying, that the goal kind of broke them and, thinking Baku all over again. And it's like, oh, here we go again. And you know what? I don't know. I kind of feel like I almost felt maybe like the players did a little bit when the goal went in. It's like, okay, all right, all right, game on. Here we go. It's within the first 5 minutes, and I didn't think that we were going to get run off the pitch at that point. I was the complete opposite. I really was. Yes, it sucks seeing the goal, the ball go in the net against you. But I don't know. It was like, okay. I was almost thinking, honest to God, I was almost like next goal wins. If Chelsea gets the next one, done. We're not going to come back. But if we get the next one, and this is what I said Thursday, because I think somebody asked, would you rather go 1-0 down or go 1-0 up?
I think you asked that question.
And I said I'd rather go 1-0 down. Because if we go 1-0 up and they come back, they get all the momentum. Yeah. We go 1-0 down, we stay in the game, we get the next goal. Now we've got all the momentum.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say I told you so, but
I agree with you, Tanner.
I told you so. It was going to be 2-1 win. So, hey, we're all happy. We don't care how we do it. It happened to me. We did it in some style, but we would have taken any kind of win yesterday. Mahir, your thoughts on the first goal? The Chelsea goal. I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Sorry, guys. You know what? I would say it's a sloppy goal, but at the same time, you can't allow a player like a Kovacic or a Pulisic space through. Because I noticed when one of the balls was being played, one of the balls leading to the assist, there was like plenty of space for them to put in a cross or even take a shot. Between all our centre halves, our centre backs, and even possibly another, I think there was another one or two players. And I was like, okay, you know what? Damn, it is early, but rather early than late. As Tanner said, as Rowan said, yes, rather early than late, because a momentum shift can lead to a game changer, basically. And like with us, I'm glad we didn't drop our heads as we normally do. And yeah, we were thinking Baku again, but I was like, you know what? It's 5 minutes. And then after that, Pepe, I think a few minutes later, or when they got that goal, Pepe curled it around the keeper for a worldie, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my days, is this the mentality we're having now? Wow. Wow.
Don Juan says, not going to lie, that Chelsea goal broke me. I was thinking Baku all over again. I think we were all maybe thinking that could happen. For me personally, I was thinking we could come back from a goal down, Tanner. Yeah. But if they got a second goal, I don't think we could have come back from a second goal.
That's what I said. After the Pulisic goal, my mentality was, all right, next goal wins. And I knew there was going to be I just knew there was going to be another goal. Sure. It wasn't going to be 1-0. Someone else was going to score, and I really just felt like next goal wins.
In my notes, a lot of people called the turning point, Rohan, the Pulisic injury at the beginning of the second half. But for me, I'm thinking it's the Pulisic shot after 10 minutes where Emmy saves from him.
Yeah. Martinez, as usual, coming into the game and being rock solid. He didn't do anything wrong. He was commanding. He went out for balls. He caught the balls in mid-air. He made the saves that he had to, and I didn't really feel pressurized as much after we took control of the game after the first water break. I felt like we were quite comfortable, and Emmy had a big role to play in that. Even if you remember, and I'm fast forwarding here, when Pedro came in and Socrates was sort of holding him off. There was a ball that I thought that Pedro might almost reach, but Emmy just went in and put his body on the line. He showed 10 years of wanting to be there and how much he wanted to be there. And I'm happy for him.
I thought it was things really come full circle, Tanner, in football. there was a tweet where David Luiz said, "Thank you, Chelsea." Now he did it in a more of a classy way than Olivier Giroud did last year, but the point was made nonetheless.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, look, take it for what it is. It's I'm not going to get too high, too low. Things like that just don't really affect me. I mean, here's the thing, man. I've won trophies before when I was a teenager, when I had to pay to play, not getting paid to play. I can't imagine the elation that these guys. I mean, I know the elation I feel. I can't imagine the elation they feel. They actually get to hold the thing, So I celebrate. Like I said, and I said on your show, man, the Giroud thing last year with thank you Arsenal. But I don't hold it against him. I really, honest to God, don't care. We sold him. It's not like he begged for his way out and won because he wanted to go to Chelsea so bad. We sold him to Chelsea. I don't. It doesn't bother me. So David Luiz yesterday with the thank you Chelsea and the smile on his face, holding the trophy on the bus. Cool. Great. It's a good picture. I like it. That's about all I've got to say on it.
I love the Aubameyang one with the glasses as well, and Pepe one. But
I mean, I seriously, I went on a spree yesterday looking at these pictures and saving them to my computer. I have to be honest with you. So. There might be maybe it's a little weird. Just a little weird.
Well, if you get into it hundreds of times, it's then a little weird. But 5 or 6 here and there are really, really good. Tierney, and Arteta and Aubameyang, right? All that stuff. Right here, DWTT says watching Chelsea dribble through the fence had him worried. It was too easy. And to Tanner's point, we were a little bit, I'd say, awestruck, a little bit nervous. Out.
I think
there are certain players, right, Tanner on, that we watch as danger men. In your opposition, you have to analyze them very critically. Yeah. And all those danger players, Pulisic, like you just said, Pulisic is one of those players that can be very dangerous. He's a classy player. He's a player. And one of them is also Kovacic. And then they've got youngsters, like we've got youngsters. But, one thing I wanted to say to you guys, one thing that brought tears into my eyes was Emmy at the end of the game. I mean, even sitting pitch side with his earphones in, phoning his family. Yeah. And he was in tears. And that literally brought me into tears also, because I was like, wow, imagine how long he waited. And he finally got his shot. And he's proving to us, I deserve to be here.
Yeah,
I deserve to be. I don't know how Leno is gonna. I don't know how Leno is going to.
It's listen. It's
competition. That's what I love as well. But he's gonna have to fight because Emmy's even got Rowan. I was discussing with Ray. Emmy's even got distribution. I'm talking Narcos levels. Narcos. Yeah, Narcos levels.
I know what that means. Rohan, what my here is talking about in Emmy getting emotional. There was a lovely interview with Emmy and Aubameyang right beside him. And you know what? If Aubameyang hasn't really been the captain that you want him to be on the field, there's the little things like this where he shows humanity and emotion for a fellow player, and he shows love for his fellow players as well. That's just amazing with Aubameyang.
I just want to draw our attention to, let's fast forward to the winter transfer window of 2018, right? When we were getting linked, and there were people saying that we shouldn't get Aubameyang because he has a bad attitude and he's going to ruin the team. Yeah. Going to ruin the team spirit with his Lamborghinis and with his flashy lifestyle, etc. But this guy has done nothing but glue us together. He is not the sort of captain that we would want. He's not vocal. He's not, he won't point at players and he won't bring them, he won't pull them up by the scruff of the neck. But what he will do is he will perform. He's scored 4 goals against Chelsea and City in the last 2 games at Wembley. He's effectively won us the the cup single-handedly, and he has that connection with all the other players, and they all must know that this guy is world class, right? His record speaks for itself. And then when he's so friendly, with Saka, he's given him a nickname, right? Saka is called Little Chili now. So things like that. He's not holding his nose up. He's not an Alexis Sanchez who's going to sit beside, on the side, and he's just going to eat his dinner by himself and not to talk to the people. He likes to be a character. He likes to laugh. He likes to make people laugh. He has great friendship with everyone in the squad, and that's just awesome. And we have to continue that. This world class player, sign him up. And this guy will be the basis for success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tanner single-handedly dragged us through the semifinals. I mean, I know it's a team ethic, and you've got 11 players, and they are all unified. You can see that from the celebrations at the end. You've got squad players who maybe are a little bit hurt that they're not on the team, not playing, but everybody's unified, and you see that through Aubameyang as well.
Yeah, to Rowan's point and to your point, Ray, the scenes after with the Martinez interview, when he comes up and he puts his arm around, just like this guy, that's and he might not be the captain we want in terms of his style, but maybe he's the captain that we need. Maybe he was the captain that we needed for this season with his, like Rowan said, he's a character. He's a fun-loving guy. I don't know if you guys saw the videos of them kind of ragging Saliba in the locker room yesterday, and somebody tried to translate it, and God bless you if you could, but they said something about his spaghetti hair or whatever. But that's Aubameyang. He wants to have fun. Every video you see of him, he's got a big smile on his face. And I actually saw a video, and I don't anybody take this. Let's not get off on this topic, but I saw a video last night of him with Troops, and I don't know if it was right after the game, but it looked like it was. And Troops was doing a video, and then all of a sudden at the bottom, Aubameyang pops in, and Aubameyang says like, "My brother, my blood clot, and you know what, man? No matter what you think of AFTV and those guys, that's cool. I'm sorry, that Aubameyang having a good time with a fan, that's cool. And that interaction and that joy. What's that, Ray?
Every one of us would love to have that personal.
My days.
Absolutely. And so, and for Troops, that's great. That's awesome. I'm happy for him on that front. But the enthusiasm, the joy, and you know what? That's infectious. And if Aubameyang is if he signs the contract, sign the thing. If he signs a contract, if he stays, there is a leadership quality there. And Rowan, I got to kudos, full marks to you for bringing this up, because I never really thought about this before. But you know what? I see I'm that guy who, when things are a little bit down and it's a little too melancholy, I want to crack a joke. I want to try to be the comic relief. And you know what? There's been a lot of downtime for this club this past season. And Aubameyang, when Arteta came in, fresh start, it's like I think his happiness can be infectious within the club, and it can turn morale. And I love that about him. He's not my kind of a captain. I'm a rah chest beating kind of guy, clapping. Come on, guys, let's that's me. That's not Aubameyang. And I think for this season anyway, I'm all right with him being captain. I'd be okay with him being captain again next season. To me, that is a leadership quality, and he has it.
Yeah.
It's really nice. And people in the comments really love the interaction. I'm trying to get through everything, trying to keep the pace right. Forgive me if I can't do that, because you're going crazy here. It's great stuff, though. Drew being unhappy, here, was pretty nice to see. We didn't want to see Giroud smiling. And we knew he was going to have an effect on the game. He had the effect on the game in the first goal where he set up Pulisic, but very, very quiet since then.
I mean, don't ever come to us and say anything. We made you at Arsenal, and then obviously we went through the whole trauma of Baku, where everybody dropped their heads and just threw the game away. But he came out and was like, "Thank you, Arsenal. Thank you. I'm a true blue. I'm a true blue." No, you were never a true Gunner. You were never a true blue. You were there for like 5 minutes. So what are you talking? What are you saying now? I just want to go on all the Chelsea fans coming up with excuses after excuses. You guys ain't saying nothing now.
There's your
Nothing.
post,
It's
Charlie
dead.
Harris.
You're dead in the water.
There's your buddy, Charlie Harris. FA Cup, baby, my here.
Exactly, Charlie. You know, these guys.
He's
I've
got you
been
on that one.
manufacturing a prison break plan, actually a proper plan to get rid of, players that are we consider us as a family not good enough for our team. And don't worry, it will be put in place very soon.
One thing that really was satisfying, Rohan, and we're talking about this for a few minutes, is the spirit, the camaraderie. We've all seen the behind the scenes footage now of Arteta bringing the cup in, celebrating, and this was really big for him to do it. And I mean, this was a free pass. A lot of us fans gave the club a free pass for the rest of the season, gave Arteta a free pass. At the same time, we shouldn't get too gassed that things are going to happen too quickly. I think Tanner said we're like in the second. We can progress to the second tier now, which for me is 6th to 4th place fight in that area. But the camaraderie, Rohan, is amazing.
The camaraderie is infectious, right? It is it's unbelievable. Even after the game, tweets coming out. There's a picture of Arteta and Aubameyang says "my manager," things like that. It really, I would be really, really surprised if Aubameyang does not extend. So, that will be the surprise of the season for me, because right now, yeah, go ahead.
No, and on that note, just real quick, and I thought of this right before you started talking, Rowan. But everybody in the chat, everybody that watches on replay, first of all, go smash the like button. But with Aubameyang, the contract extension, things like that, one thing I want everybody to keep in mind, and with transfer business and things like that, the Aubameyang extension, I wouldn't expect to hear anything this week. I just don't think anything's going to get done this week. I think there is something in place where Aubameyang says it was winning the trophy, getting European football, but I think he also wants to see a bit of what happens in the transfer market. But there's nothing going on this week for this team. We have nothing. Everybody is going to go into London Colney. They're going to clean out their locker, and they're going to disappear for a week. They're going to go find themselves. If there's a beach anywhere in the world that's open, they're going to go find it. They're going to sit there. They're going to drink their little Mai Tais or their little sex on the beach with their little foo-foo-y umbrellas. That's what they're going to do, because that's what they deserve to do right now. They're going on vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Aubameyang probably doesn't really want to think about this too much. He wants to decompress mentally. So give it a week. And if nothing happens, if you don't hear anything for a week, 10 days,
It's okay.
relax. It's going to be okay. I really do think after, and Rowan, you, again, great point. I hate that we are agreeing so much. I need a controversial statement from you. But I think he is, after the my manager tweet, I think he's going to stay. I really, in my heart of hearts, gun to my head, yeah, I think he stays.
That tweet and what Arteta said right after the game, in the post-match interview, that was, I feel like Arteta really put himself out there, and I wouldn't have, I don't think he would have done it if it wasn't for, if it wasn't for him knowing that that this guy is going to sign,
I think I'm not going to say quote, because I don't know that I'm quoting it verbatim, but I believe Arteta's words were all but verbatim. I think he really wants to stay. I'm fairly certain that it's that or it's something very similar. But the post-match comments,
exactly. That's what I was trying to pull out because I heard this yesterday after the thing. He said, I'm positive. I had a conversation with him and he wants to stay. This is what he said.
Yeah.
And
I hope that's
right.
So now it's salary. Bump him up, because if he's on 180 grand a week, you know what? Yeah, we can afford to bump him up a little bit. And if it's 250, you know what? There's the financial fair play has been it's been lax this for this upcoming season because of the virus. We're gonna have to pay Ozil no matter what. It's not my money, so of course I can sit here and say I can live with it. But I think the club can live with giving Aubameyang 250 grand a week plus whatever the goal bonus is going to be, or, and this is maybe a conversation for another show, during the off season, just a random question. And Rowan, you might be able to answer this, but would they just tear up the last year of the contract, or would he honor the last year of his contract and whatever he signs becomes a new contract beyond? You understand what I'm saying? So,
yeah, so it depends on it depends on
that would be the best thing money wise if he played out if he honored the final year of this contract at 180 and then the new contract kicked in the following year.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how they draft the contract and how they go ahead with it. But I think that generally the norm is that if you sign a new contract, you start getting your new salary and everything.
So they tear up the last year, whatever, and it starts right.
They generally do that. I mean, it's not a rule, but they would generally do that. But I don't think it would be a problem for us. Just this guy is worth his weight in gold. This guy has single-handedly won us the cup. He's kept us in whatever position we've ended because of him. Otherwise, we could have finished 14th, 15th, 16th. Who knows?
Here's the thing as well. He scored high 20s. He got 29 goals this season. If he was in a better team, he'd be hitting closer to 40 because he was heading towards 40.
Exactly.
Borussia Dortmund, who was a decent team at the time.
Let's not also forget that he also got a 3-match ban here. He got a ban against Liverpool. He was benched. There have been so many times he's fallen one short of the Golden Boot. After Thierry Henry, he is the first striker in our club to score 20 goals a season in 2 consecutive seasons. Robin van Persie didn't do that. This guy has done that. Why would we not want to keep him? And there is no, I mean, knock on wood, he doesn't have an injury record. This guy doesn't get injured. The longest time that he's been out of action was when he got that 3-game ban.
Oh, good stuff. I wanted to take a moment as well here to recognize all of the Gooners that are not with us right now that we've lost in the last number of years. Darren Gameboy reminded me I was going to do this anyway. I had the banner ready. In terms of Rocky Rocastle, we do miss him. I'm sure Rocky Rocastle looking down at us and all the people that we lost this year, and during the pandemic, all the people that we've lost as well, and Gooners that would and hopefully have enjoyed this weekend from wherever they are watching over us. So I just want to take. Yep.
Goonerholic at Goonerholic on Twitter, Dave. That's a big one. That's a big one for me. Unfortunately, he passed away earlier in the year. January or February, somewhere in that neighborhood. Might have been December of last year, late December. But Dave Goonerholic, proper Gooner. And I know he was watching from that big pub in the sky.
Yeah. Willing the Gooners on, and let's get to the good stuff now. Willing Aubameyang to make that move. Who wants to go first here? To get Rob Maher, go first. Tierney gets the ball out in the left back position, and this has to be something that was worked on. Lacazette dropping short to Paul Zuma, I think at the time, towards the center of the field, away from Azpilicueta, who is on an island. And when you're on an island with Aubameyang, you're not going to win that race.
Too fast. The Flash.
Too clever, too fast.
There's only one winner in that battle.
Yeah.
And the finish. Oh my days. Like, just before that, Pepe had a shot. Curl the beauty. Unfortunately, it was offside. But I mean, creating that chance on his own. Rowan, Tanner, you guys have said it very beautifully. Where would we be without Aubameyang?
So
Really, honestly.
let me just bring you up to speed through my notes here. Kovacic gets his first yellow card. That will become important later in the day on 14 minutes. We get a free kick. Ceballos kicks it over the crossbar, kind of a wasted. On 24 minutes, a lot of people have been talking about it in the comments section. Pepe's offside goal. So unfortunate. So many things. Pepe could have probably increased a couple more goals this season, but for little bits here and there. I I do think he's slightly a luxury player, but I do think he's got the product as well. But a great shot into that top corner. It's kind of a pity that it wasn't a legitimate goal there for me. But then 24 minutes, on 28 minutes after the water break, Rohan, Aubameyang's move on Aspilicueta.
So let me talk about Pepe. And Pepe, for yesterday's game, Aubameyang takes all the plaudits because he scored the 2 goals. He created the penalty situation as well and all of that. But Pepe had a good game yesterday. He had these guys on toast, And the first goal, the way that he shot it, I mean, it was almost like, am I watching FIFA? That was just R1 and shoot there. That is what he did. The goalkeeper was just stood there. But that just made Chelsea players, a little bit worried. They just took a couple of steps back. They didn't want to get on a one-on-one situation with Pepe. Pepe nutmegged them. Pepe took the ball away from them. It was great. And that really put them on the back foot. Now, moving on to the goal. That same move was tried a couple of times. It was like we played beautifully, but this wasn't like a 20-pass move. This was just a straight lob over Aspilicueta. But we had done that 2 or 3 times before. So nobody tells me that, Lampard is a better tactician than Arteta, because, I mean, I could see that happening and I could see that coming. I don't know why, Arteta didn't change anything, or the Chelsea defenders didn't change anything. There was space in there. You had to cut out that space, but they didn't, and they left Aspilicueta on a one-on-one race with Aubameyang, and there was just going to be one winner. And like I've said before, that's when the pro mind switches in, right? Like it's a situation when you go in and you basically wait to get the foul, but you ensure that you get a penalty and not just a free kick outside the box. Great play by Aubameyang, and what a penalty as well. Even if Willie had jumped,
there's no saving that penalty.
No
saving at all.
Generally, I'm not a big fan of Aubameyang penalties because he's a little bit lax at it, and he's sort of missed a few important penalties.
That was the same end in the Wembley they played Tottenham last season as well.
Exactly.
Shout out to Tony. Thanks for joining us, Tony. Alba just got a 5% pay rise with the rest of the team, but I think we're going to want to give him a little bit more as well. Comments are just coming. Tanner, the Aubameyang, Lacazette used his nous to get a penalty against Sheffield United in the quarterfinals, and Aubameyang was something similar as well. He knew that he was being fouled. There was no way he was getting to that ball, and Aspilicueta fouled him into the box. Clear penalty.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you. I'm sorry, I had to duck out. I wasn't paying attention there for a minute. So if I repeat anything that was said, I apologize. But I want to give full credit to Aubameyang also because the contact began outside the box, and an inexperienced player feels that contact. And look, the fact is they're trained. If you feel contact, go down. At the very draw penalty, draw free kick, draw foul, draw free kick. Maybe it turns out to be a card. Who knows? But Aubameyang actually carried the contact into the box and then went down. And quite frankly, the egregious contact, if you go back and you watch, the egregious contact was outside the box. By the time it got inside the box, Aspilicueta had kind of backed. He was beaten at that point. And I think Azpilicueta knew he was in the box, and if it's either back off and let it go, or take him down, run the risk of a straight red card, and give up the penalty anyway. But Aubameyang goes down with the contact. So that's probably the most impressive thing of that situation to me. The ball over the top from Tierney, recognizing that put Aubameyang on an island essentially out wide with Azpilicueta. It's a foot race. I mean, this is as we've been seeing in the comments, this is the Roadrunner and the Coyote. That's all it is. Get the ball to the X and let the Roadrunner take off. So, but
He's the Roadrunner down there.
What's that?
He's the original Roadrunner.
Yeah. So
when we're done with podcast, he's like, "Mate, out of here."
And I want to make one comment real quick about Azpilicueta. And I actually saw this on Twitter yesterday. First of all, gutted for Pulisic, gutted for Azpilicueta. That sucks, man. I don't ever want to see anybody on any team get hurt and have to leave a game. That sucks. Because I feel bad for the player. I've injured myself plenty of times playing sports. It sucks, and I feel bad for the players. But I also don't want their supporters to be, oh well, look at Pulisic in the second half. We had him. If he doesn't rip up his hamstring, we're going to go out. No excuses. So, but Azpilicueta, somebody said on Twitter yesterday that they were gutted for him because of the injury, but also gutted from an Arsenal perspective that was another yellow card waiting to happen. Think about it. He already drew one, and if we just keep doing the same thing over and over again until Lampard commits because the only option he has is to commit a second player to cover Aubameyang. His I don't remember who was on the left at the time. It was because Azpilicueta was playing. Was it Alonso?
Rudiger.
No, Alonso. No. It was Rudiger. And so, do you commit that left-sided center half over to help Azpilicueta cover Aubameyang? And if you do, it's going to open up a gap right in the middle. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it was another yellow card waiting to happen. I think Azpilicueta was going off one way or the other. And it sucks that it was to injury, but I think it was going off one way or the other.
Tony has said, who's faster, Mahir or Aubameyang? I'm still going to say Aubameyang's a little faster, Mahir. Sorry.
Mahir, are you mad about that? Are you mad that Ray just basically said you're slow?
No. Not at all. He's a little slower than Aubameyang. CWTT, don't waste that tweet. Tierney to Alba, I like that combo. Rohan, it reminds me a little bit of, dare I say it, Ashley Cole and Thierry Henry. Cashley,
Yeah, I'm liking that combination. This is the second time that we've scored a goal with this combination, with the same move that we've done, right? Like a ball over the top by Tierney, and we did that against City, and we did that against Chelsea, and we didn't do it in the first game against against City, but now we've seen that the chemistry has grown. They know. I mean, I don't even think Tierney was looking up at Aubameyang. He knew instinctively when he got into that position that Auba is going to be off, and Auba knew that this guy is going to deliver a ball to me. So that's what he did. That's the chemistry that's there, and we need that same chemistry on the right hand side as well.
I'm pretty quick when my dad wants to tell me off. I'm gone, fam.
Sorry, that's what I was laughing at. I wasn't laughing at you, Rowan. That's what I was laughing at.
Okay, for me, was there a shout for a red card in this situation? I was hoping that it's a professional foul. Do you think Zuma is getting over there quickly enough to cover? The mere fact that you're running there doesn't stop that Aubameyang was going to get a shot off in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. I thought the same thing because, I mean, wasn't it quite similar to what Luis did to Mahrez in that City game? I mean, he also pulled him from the back, and the only reason why you could argue was that touch that Aubameyang took was the ball going away from goal. He wasn't going towards the goal, and that could have been the important factor as to whether it was a red or a yellow. But I mean, I'm generally not a fan of once you've given a penalty, then you don't like it shouldn't be a double whammy and you sort of get a red card as well. I don't like it happening to us.
Yeah, yeah.
So the yellow card at the end of it.
I think that's the thing. If you go by the tenor, if you go by the tenor that you wouldn't like it to happen to us, then that's the way really to gauge the refereeing decisions, right?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And it's a judgment call as well. I think it was somebody said they thought it was that they thought it should have been a straight red. I think it was Tony. I'm not sure, but a straight red in that situation I think would have been harsh. And like Rowan said, you gave the penalty, the straight red. You're being punished twice for the same, for the same aggression. So yeah. I think it would have been a bit hard. The rule is very clear though, that in a clear-cut scoring opportunity, if you do this, that's what you're going. It is the double whammy. It is the penalty and the straight red. So the rule is clear on that, and we may not like it, but that is the rule. But in this particular instance, though, I don't think a straight red was warranted. I think the yellow was fine, and the penalty given. And VAR did review it, by the way. VAR did go and look at it, and they came back and said no penalty.
Chelsea can't really be salty because they got away with not having Azpilicueta sent off through, a red card. In my view, it was a clear goal scoring situation. And Tony said the same long ball has killed us 1,000 times. Okay, then on 33 minutes, Azpilicueta has had a pretty bad day already, pretty hard day already. He kind of goes off. I think it's his hamstring, right?
Yeah, and we forced that, and Chelsea haven't dealt with it. It just didn't happen. It was because this poor guy, who's at the end of his career, is on a foot race against, Usain Bolt of football, right? Like that's what he's doing. I mean, you're going to pull your hamstring sooner rather than later. It is going to happen. There's just not two ways about it. So if there's anyone to blame, it's more Chelsea and their tactical planning than luck, because they should have known that this we played so many games, hamstrings are going to be tight, and Azpilicueta is not the guy who you want to be running against Aubameyang.
Really loving the comments. They all love the panel here, so good stuff. Thanks for all your views. Really appreciate it here in the comment section. Tony, we should know how to deal with that long ball. We have seen it scored against us over and over. Yeah, nightmares of like Manchester City in a final where Mustafi ducks his head. Oh my God! And
imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah. Okay, so Mahir, Christensen's on, and Zuma has to move on to Aubameyang. At this point, I'm thinking Zuma is more of a physical player. He might actually try to be physical with Aubameyang, and I'm thinking we're not going to get much out of Aubameyang with this duel. But little did I know in the second half what would happen. But it kind of peters out into the second half. And what was your feelings then in the game? We were nervous for 10, 15 minutes, but then I thought we grew into the game, Mahir.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel exactly the same way. We grew into it very well. Calm, composed, and not panicky and finicky. Normally, that's what happens to us. We're getting in a moment of panic and just one ball over the top, as Tony said, puts us 1-0 behind, and then our heads drop and suddenly we're 2-0 behind. And then before you know it, it's maybe 2-1, and then 3-1, 4-1, and then like by the time a third or a second goal goes in, sometimes we just lose everything. It's like, oh guys, what's the use of us even being on the pitch? You understand? It's just, you know what? It's just one of those days. And then our opposition goes on a killing spree, basically. Like a horror movie, Rowan, a killing spree. basically they go on or Call of Duty kill streak. They basically go on a kill streak, and we just sit there like, oh, you know what? It's just another day in the office. We're just getting unlucky. But
Don Juan needs to split. I think we'll still be talking in 20 minutes, guys. What do you think?
yeah,
Safe, Don. Arsenio, thanks for your comments as well. So Rohan, your thoughts at halftime?
At halftime, I was happy. We had just got into the game and dominated the game for like about 20-25 minutes. I thought that the halftime came at a wrong time for us because we were on the up. But I was just happy with, I was just taking in the fact that we had scored, they had scored, we had equalized, and we were on the up. So I just wanted the momentum to keep on going. So I was pretty calm and collected. I really thought that Lampard is going to make some changes in halftime. Giroud was ineffective. Giroud was playing in front of our defenders, and we were finding it way too easy. And I thought that Abraham would come on after halftime because
I personally,
but
it happened. Yeah, we'll get into that. I thought Abraham came on way too late for Fat Frank, but that's his problem, not ours. And Arsenio is now Raging Demon because his other phone died on him. So where Arsenio was is now Raging Demon. Good stuff. Tanner, what was your thoughts, halftime thoughts for you?
Satisfied. I really thought we carried the play at the end of most of the first half. I'm not even going to say the end. And yeah, I did kind of feel like halftime came at a time where it's like, man, keep going, we're going to bury these guys. Keep going. So I was a little nervy at halftime. I'll be honest, because I thought the break may have killed our momentum. But I liked where we were. I liked the way we were playing. And I thought that Lampard would make a change at halftime with Giroud and Abraham, and he didn't. And when the second half started, I was stunned. Absolutely stunned that, Giroud was ineffective. Other than the goal, Giroud was largely ineffective. He just wasn't contributing to the play in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Junior Glenn, Aspilicueta thought he was walking. Judging by his reaction, he was relieved that it was just a yellow card. I think your teammates have to help you out in that situation. Start pointing at players who are closest to him and say, "Well, my fellow defender was going to cover for me, so there's no reason why I should get sent off." And I hope Arsenal will learn that lesson as well. To start to sort of go to bat for each other when referees are deciding these things, So into the second half, first thing that happens pretty much is Pulisic getting injured, right?
He did.
For a lot of people, that's the turning point, Rohan. But I didn't necessarily see it that way myself.
I had sent out Thursday as well. Pulisic was going to be the danger man. He's got quick feet. He's been the guy on form since lockdown.
Yeah.
Since the restart of the game post lockdown, and of course it was a change because he's a direct player, right? These are the kind of players that we don't like. These are the kind of players that our defenders don't like. They don't like to play against direct players who are gonna run at you, who are gonna have the ball, who have close control, who are gonna, all of this is not something that we thrive in. And so I did feel that it did give us some advantage, although we had managed him reasonably well for the for a majority of the first half. But I'm sure that did tip the game in our favor. But what I also want to say is that kudos to Pulisic. If you see the replay, he probably pulled his hamstring like 4 or 5 steps before he actually went down, and he got the shot through. I mean, that might be a difference between a grade 1 hamstring versus a complete muscle rupture. That we will wait to see what's happened there. but the commitment that the lad showed was good, and unfortunate for them, but good for us. We'll take that.
Yeah. Raging Demon, who was Arsenio, let's remember. We need to get the Deadwood out as soon as possible, starting with Ozil, then work our way from there. And yeah, we'll get into that. There's plenty of time to talk about transfers and what's going to happen in the squad. Tanner, the game sort of goes back and forth. Pedro comes on for Pulisic. On 57 minutes, Aubameyang has a shot on the counter. And this is what I want to talk about. On 57 minutes, Aubameyang has a shot on the counter. He goes onto his right side and takes a shot. And ultimately it's blocked. But what he's pretty much doing is setting Zuma up a little bit for the next time they would meet. And that would come in the 67 minutes. We got to call out Bellerin here. There's not much happening, but his burst through midfield reminded me of what we did with Martinelli at Stamford Bridge. Very similar. Their midfield player, which was the defender at the time, Rudiger. Bellerin plays the ball through his legs. It's even better. It gets even better. Plays the ball through his legs. Rudiger's ass is on the ground, and Bellerin's moving forward. Gets the ball out of his feet a little bit too much, and take it from there.
Yeah, I actually think he meant to hit the ball a little further out than that, because I think he felt like, you know what, get the ball further forward because he has the full head of steam. The defenders have to turn and chase him because he kicked the ball into space. There was nobody around him. Yeah. That Bellerin run, and yeah, Darren's been talking about this for a few minutes now. It just an absolutely unbelievable, right? That's a man possessed. That is a man. He had one goal in mind, and that was getting the ball into the final third, and he did everything he could. And by the way, the foul that on I think it was Christensen. It was either Christensen or Alonso. When Bellerin fell over, that's not a foul. I'm sorry, it's not a foul. They're both going for the ball there. It's not a foul. Period.
Coming together, right?
Yeah. And that's it. So, but without that run, who knows? We might still be playing. We might still be kicking penalties. Who knows?
So Tanner, the ball comes to Pepe. He cuts inside and finds a really, really great pass to Aubameyang. And we've all seen the interview with Aubameyang. He said he knows Zuma, and he was setting him up for the right side.
And you even see it when he comes to the right, and it's like a crossover in basketball, and Zuma just buckled. Yep, exactly, just little
faint.
And Zuma, go back and watch the replay from behind the goal line, and you'll see Zuma's legs just buckle. His knees are going to his left when Aubameyang is coming to his own left, so to Zuma's right. And Zuma had zero chance. In fact, his shoes might still be out on the pitch at Wembley because he faked them right out of him. So, but the finish was utterly clinical. That is the definition of a clinical finish. Chipped it right over.
One word.
Ahead,
One word.
Go ahead. I think Aubameyang showed Kurt Zuma what the definition of abuse is yesterday with that move. So,
yeah, Rohan, a really, really great move. He set him up perfectly and gets into that position. I'm wondering what's he going to do with Caballero.
Yeah, so, let's talk about the first chance first, right? Like, we got on the counter and we were 2-on-2 at that position, and Lacazette had to put a ball in. And I already said that was just a little bit behind that, and Aubameyang's first touch wasn't great enough. The ball just popped up. If it came, rolling towards him, he could have taken that first time shot like he did from outside the box against Tottenham last year, right? You remember the curler that he scored, and he could have had the same shot this time. from inside the box, but he didn't because the ball came to him in not the right pace, and his first touch wasn't good enough.
Just
But
1 second, Rowan. Mahir has to leave, so I want to give him just a shout out to leave at this point.
bye bye, my
Thanks,
friend.
thanks Mahir.
You know what? I just want to say I love you guys, the panel, our host, and all our subscribers. Thank you for joining us tonight. Your co-host unfortunately has to leave, but much love to you guys. Celebrate the rest of the week with me,
Definitely.
for me.
Definitely.
Come on, you guys.
Thanks.
See you, Mahir.
Be well, guys.
Okay, Rowan. Sorry to break your flow there.
So that's fine, and then so that he set himself up, and then like he said after the first after the game, that he knows how Zuma is, he knows what he's going to do, so he knew that he could take him on. Zuma's body position was all wrong. I don't know how he is a professional getting paid the big bucks and defending like that. The first rule of defending is that you have to be on your toes, and that guy was on his heels. His feet were just so wide apart. There was no recovery for him. When Aubameyang saw his body structure, he knew that he had him beat, and everybody knew that he had him beat. All that he needed was that little feint. I mean, it was as if his feet were stuck in concrete, right? Like he just couldn't move from there. And then the finish, and I would have liked if Mahir was here, or if anyone can, like, just make like a mirroring video of like Messi on one side beating Boateng and Aubameyang on the other side. That's going to be a great video, and it's going to be shared all along. If you remember when Messi scored against Bayern Munich, it was the same thing. And in fact, this same move has also been done against City by Jack Wilshere. Jack Wilshere also did this to Clichy when he took the ball, body feint, took it aside, and then lobbed it over Joe Hart. So, I mean, I absolutely love these goals. These are goals that just show so much skill, and they just rinse the defender, and these are three that I remember right off the top of my head. Great goals, worthy of winning any match and worthy of winning this final.
Yeah. Tanner, Lumber Camps dropped a comment here that Oba chip was world class, Henry-esque, and we've mentioned the previous podcast. For me, Aubameyang's starting to look a little bit more like Henry. I mean, he'll never have the same skill set in terms of being out wide, but he is starting to play more in the channels as well. If you know what I mean, he ventured out to the right against Wolves. He got fouled there in the latter part of that game. He was played really, really well against Leicester, combined with Saka and Lacazette. So I'm starting to see an extra bow to his game.
He's always going to want to come back in on his right, and it's very similar to Pepe wanting to come in on his left. So players naturally want to gravitate towards their strong foot side. And let's face it. I mean, it gives you a better angle if Aubameyang stays out wide on the left. He's cutting down his own shooting angle. Likewise with Pepe. So you're naturally going to come back to the middle to create a better shooting angle for yourself. But he is getting into the channels more, and I think that's what smart players do. He's not just going to stay out wide like he kind of was at the beginning with Arteta. Being out wide on the left, he is starting to cut back in more to the middle, and he is getting into the channels more as well. So if you see when we're going forward in the final third and we have the ball, Aubameyang is getting into those spaces more in towards the middle of the pitch. And like I said, to create a better shooting angle for himself. So, but that he's something special. I think we've all known this for years. I would assume Rowan, I know you watched him at Dortmund. Right. I think you did as well, but
not so much, only in terms of when we used to play. We used to play Dortmund on kind of a regular basis, right, Rohan?
Yeah.
For Gunnar Glenn, I want to call out Mahir's Twitter. I think it's Gunded N. I think it's Gunded News, Gunded N.
You can tag him after the show. So
I sure will. I'll put that in at the end. But Rohan, to Tanner's question there, and you've seen him before in Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah. I used to be a big fan of him. I couldn't believe when we signed him. I saw him at Borussia Dortmund. I saw him playing live for Borussia Dortmund against Bayern Munich as well. So I mean, I was a big fan. In fact, I was quite disappointed the game that I went. He did not score. I wanted to see his overhead flip, that he does. But yeah, I used to follow Dortmund quite a bit because they're they were an exciting team, and Aubameyang was right up there with them, and I could just they were my FIFA team on the PlayStation, right? Like, and I couldn't believe that this was really going to happen, that Arsenal were going to sign him, and he's proved nothing but a world class player since he's come in.
And PwC has helped me as well on that one. So, 2-1. How are you feeling, boys, at 2-1 after, 67 minutes? I think the water break came. Did the water break come right after that goal?
It's close, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I was feeling
1 up with a water break.
I was feeling confident. I was feeling like we need to now manage the game. We don't need to let them get into the game. Put men behind the ball. Now the onus is on Chelsea, right? They need to attack. We need to stay behind the ball. Don't let them get in behind. They still hadn't made the change with Giroud, so I was quite comfortable there. And I said that now let them take the onus. Let's hit balls on the counter. Alba is playing out of his skin. Pepe has already, terrorized them, and he's put them back. There's no need to hurry and give the ball away in midfield. Take your time. Take the sting out of the game. That's what I was thinking at that point.
Yeah, we get to. I guess we get to the Kovacic sending off. Now, it was for me, right, Tanner? It was.
Sorry, I'm looking at the assembled's comment. Okay, that's all well and good. I might have scored the goal, but I didn't, and neither did they. So it was. I mean, stop overrating Aubameyang. He's a world class striker. I don't see another way to.
Van Persie and Sanchez were also world class. They would have finished it. So
Yeah.
that doesn't take away anything from anyone, right?
Right. Let's stop. We don't need to cut Aubameyang off at the knees here to make others look taller. So.
Show up, and he showed up in the semifinal, and he showed up in the final against teams who have qualified for the Champions League. In Manchester City and Chelsea. So, I think he's answered some questions there, where in the semifinal we may have been asking those questions, Rohan, but he sort of like stepped up.
Yeah.
Now, should we keep the water breaks for next season, Rohan? I think this is just
I think they
a situation where they're playing every 3 days that you need them.
I think they've already agreed that it is going to stay into effect next season, and I like it. I think as a team, as Arsenal, the team, it does us good. Because we are still a team that's learning. We're a coach that's learning. We're next season hopefully we will have a new core within the team. I at some point, I don't know if today we will get into the midfield conversation, but there's
we're just gonna revel in this win today and not
exactly. So I'm assuming that there should be a new core, and if we do have a new core, those breaks are going to do us well. And let's get that through, and hopefully the season after that we'll not need it. We won't need it anymore.
Yeah,
I kind of like it, and I'll tell you why. I don't like the interruption to play, but I do like the idea that it adds a new element to the game, and it does create a little bit of a game within the game, so to speak. Things aren't going your way. If you're being run ragged in the first 20, 25 minutes, you get that little bit of a break. Coach settles you down. Okay, here's where we're at. This is what we're going to do. And like Rowan said earlier, little tweaks. Arteta, just little tweaks in that minute and a half, 2 minute, 2 minute break. And I'm not going to say it made all the difference in the world, but it made a difference nonetheless. And so I kind of like it. I get where the purists are going to oppose it, and I understand why. I won't be upset either way. I think Rowan, you're right. I think it has been approved for next season. So I like I said, I kind of like it because it can change the dynamic of a game. You know, I mean, think about it. If you get a team, Liverpool are playing, say Brentford beat Fulham. Oh, there he is. There, the brand checking in with us.
Spoken. Stan, hashtag the brand.
But say one of the Liverpool or Man City, and they're playing Brighton, and it gives Brighton a chance to regroup, and maybe they can figure something out, something to do a little differently to try to slow the momentum, to try to break the stride, things like that. Yeah, and good coaches will benefit from this. Good coaches with, I don't want to say poor, I'll say less talented clubs. Graham Potter. Graham Potter at Brighton. I have an immense amount of respect for Graham Potter. I think he's a tremendous coach, and I think that they can benefit those teams. So it's kind of like okay, here's what we're gonna do. You did this. Here's what we're gonna do. Back over to you.
I think we kind of came up with this idea on Thursday night that Lampard was the motivator, was the top type of coach, and Arteta was very much in the mold of a Pep. And Pep has always been able to, and Arteta seems to be able to tweak certain things when he has an opportunity to get the players in, such as a water break. So they may be for sissies, Stan, but it's actually, I think it has benefited us, those water breaks that. And it was amazing I think we were all watching the sideline, Rohan, as you could see Lampard talking and you could see Arteta talking. And we were all thinking who's going to have the best use of those minutes.
Arteta is such a Pep mini-me. He talks like Pep. He behaves like Pep.
I hope not. I hope he's his own self a little bit.
I just want to know where he gets his clothing from because I want to rock that on Friday when I go into.
I really wanted to nickname this cup final the tracksuit final, but Arteta isn't making it difficult for me to do that, because he did dress kind of nice. But you see Aubameyang coming in with his flip flops on. It was kind of funny. Whereas on the traditionalists will say you got to have your suit and all that good stuff. Goes on for 5 hours, But listen, we're going to come to Kovacic's sending off, and for me, God, if Granit Xhaka wasn't so slow, I don't think Kovacic would have got sent off, because if Xhaka was faster, he gets that ball away from Kovacic, and nothing happens, right? Who wants to touch this one?
I'll take it. It's harsh. Both yellow cards on Kovacic were.
It is harsh, but he had been fouling consistently. He got away with one.
Well, and you know what? It was Jorginho in the first match with Chelsea at home that should have been sent off the second half. I think not Kovacic, but hey, what goes around comes around, exactly. And you don't necessarily want to say that, but look, the footy gods smiled on us yesterday. Like Rowan said, it's about time we got some of these calls. And Rowan, seriously, we're doing this too much, man. We need a break. You and I are agreeing way too much. It was.
We like argumentative podcasts, so can you just put it up a little bit, please?
Well, we're celebrating today, so this is a celebration.
Yeah, exactly. Rowan, another thing to tie into the channel name Arsenal Fan Circle. Things come full circle. It always comes around. If we're hard done by with VAR, we kind of get away with it in this game. The fouls that have been committed against us in the past, we're getting the benefit of them. So what goes around comes around, right?
The progression of things, right? First, we played really well for the first half, and then we lost against Chelsea in that game undeservedly, in which they should have got a red. They didn't get a red. We moaned about that. and then the second game, red card, we come back, play well, get the draw. So loss, draw, and then we win the most important one out of the three, right?
Yeah.
We win the most important one. From my perspective, it was the most important one to win out of the three, in which we got all the calls, and this guy who, in my opinion, shouldn't have been sent off because it was soft. I still don't know why. So VAR apparently didn't get involved because VAR doesn't get involved for yellow cards, but
Yeah.
didn't VAR get involved when Oba got the red card against Crystal Palace? Didn't VAR get involved when Nketiah got the yellow card against whoever we were playing, Leicester?
Leicester. Yeah.
So that time it was used. I don't know why it wasn't used because from my perspective it was more like Xhaka fouled him almost. Like, I mean, because it's not like his foot went on Xhaka's. Xhaka like got him, but I mean, in any case, I mean, we got that, and
A classic case where we benefited from Granit Xhaka being a slow coach in midfield, and we'll just leave it at there. Lundberg Camp. This is the next thing we need is consistency. This is the watchword that we're going to need to have going forward because you don't have to be consistent to win a cup competition. Win an FA Cup or dare I say the Champions League, you don't necessarily have to be consistent. You just have to turn up in big games. Arsenal have done that in the big games this season, but we haven't really done that in the league against the lower teams. Rohan, I'll stick with you.
we haven't done that, and we know it because there's been the team has been in turmoil, and Arteta has just come in, and then our performances have been okay, but I'm sure that we will get there because Arteta has that coaching mentality and he has that winners mentality. He's won trophies as a player. He's coached one of the best teams in Europe, and that was the difference, right? There's Lampard who had to sort of learn his trade in the championship and took Derby from fourth to fourth and Chelsea from third to fourth, and then you have Arteta who's coached the best players in the world, multiple times championship winners, and basically got us the cup in his first 8 months as a manager. What else can we say?
Yeah, exactly. Kovacic is sent off. My notes are like Chelsea are lacking the mentality to win the Premier League, and I don't think they're going to win the Premier League until they, um, how do I say this? Until they're mentally stronger because they started to lose the rag a little bit here, Tanner, fouling Arsenal, and it was working. It worked in their favor because they were breaking the game up for themselves when they wanted to get back into it.
Yeah, I mean they kind of at that point. Well, you've got to go for the ball. You have to take chances at that point. Like Rowan said, the onus is now on Chelsea. After the Aubameyang goal, okay, now it's like I said, now over to you, Chelsea. So what do you got? What do you got to try to come back? And they, what's funny? After Kovacic went off, I actually thought they looked pretty dangerous, and I was really. It was almost a repeat of the Stamford Bridge match. We go down 10 men, we go down a man, and we became the more dangerous side. I don't know if that's a matter of in yesterday's match, did we let off the gas a little bit? When Kovacic was sent off, I don't know, but I wanted to say this earlier. When Pedro came on for Pulisic, looked dangerous. Looked good going forward, and yeah, like Rowan said, again, it's our defenders, our center halves do not deal well with quick, straightforward players. They want they play very well against players who want to hold the ball up and make a move in the box, but players who are direct, who are quick, we don't handle them well. And Pedro was very much like Pulisic in that mold. So if anybody would have leveled that game for Chelsea yesterday, I was utterly confident that it was going to be Pedro. There was something in the back of my head that just kept screaming, Pedro's going to be the one to level this match. But Yeah, like I said, you got to take chances, and Chelsea was doing that. Unfortunately, they just weren't working out. They were committing fouls, and yes, like you said, it's breaking up the game. It's becoming very choppy now, and they can't build anything. They can't build any momentum. It would break our momentum a little bit, but it is kind of playing into our hands. It's a stoppage and play. Clock continues to move, and you know.
Yeah, Stan had said Xhaka gave an acting masterclass to get that red. That would have meant But Giroud, we didn't call out Giroud in the first half. He goes down in slow motion in the center circle right after Aubameyang's goal. Aubameyang sells the penalty as well. You know, you have to do these things so the referee can actually see these things as well. But yeah,
I want to ask Stan something real quick. Hey, Stan, I'm gonna make him an offer he can refuse. That's my Marlon Brando impression. Come on, I want to know what you think. Do I have a future in the acting business?
No,
Sorry,
Stan is Marlon Brando. You get it? Marlon the Brand. Oh,
you're a clever one.
Nice.
I see what you did there.
Marlon the Brando. Yeah. Anyway, what I found good yesterday, Chelsea players were leaving their foot and Arsenal players stood up and gave it back. Yeah, we're starting to see some of that coming back into the team. And I wonder where it was gone for many, many years. I'm on my second night of celebrating. I'm off to work, so I'm off work, so I'm allowed.
Nice.
Big up yourself, Darren.
Get involved, Darren. Get involved.
He sure is. Stan. Liking the Stan comment. Stan Wagwan fam, it's me, Arsenio. Yeah, that's Arsenio is now Raging Demon on his other phone. Okay, so Rohan, we got 3 substitutions from Chelsea. 78 minutes. Rudiger, Giroud, and Mount come off. I thought the game passed Mount by a little bit. He's a bit of a younger player, and maybe a nod towards Arteta that he didn't try some of the younger players in our squad. And Hudson-Odoi comes on, Barkley and Abrams. At 78 minutes, I'm thinking it's a little bit late for Abrams to make an impact.
Exactly, and we've called out Arteta a few times that he makes substitutions late. But God, like how did Lampard?
Could you imagine it was us a goal behind the fan base?
How did he not see that we had to make that change in at half time? You know, Giroud was just not working out. You know, if I think back to the game, the only time that I felt threatened was that run that Pedro had, and I was just like, don't give away that penalty. And to his credit, Socrates did very well. He guarded the ball really well. There was no foul.
Didn't you feel a little nervous when Socrates was coming on, and I think Kolasinac came on as well?
I was more scared when Socrates came on. But then another thing from the 2017 final in which Mertesacker hadn't played the whole season, and he comes on and he delivers a masterclass, and that's what Socrates did. Hasn't been involved since post lockdown, and he comes on, and that vital moment he was strong. You know, he came on, he was strong, he defended well. You know, he kept Pedro at bay, and that chance. Once we wrote that chance, then it was good. You know, after the red card though. You know, we know how Chelsea are with 10 men, right? Like, they can be dogged, they can be rigid, you know. And I was just like, please don't concede, because if we do concede, it's going to be such a big downer for us that, we're just going to not be able to score. It'll go into penalties and they're going to be riding high. So what we needed to do was keep Chelsea at bay, and we did that.
Yeah. Shout out to Chohat, who has joined as well. Unlucky for Pulisic to pick up that injury.
Commiserations.
Yeah, he's commiserations, and he is going to be a good player, and they'll get him back. I probably will miss start of the next season. Pulisic is a worry for what he did yesterday. He still carried on, even when his hamstring went, and that's hard. He's right. Arsenio's right about that. That was perfect, bearded Gunner. I think that was the Marlon Brando.
That was the Marlon Brando thing, yeah.
Go ahead, Ro.
No, that was me giving Tanner.
We have to talk about this for. I'm not saying Shaw is salty. He's not at all. For the Chelsea fans, Emi Martinez. It looked to me like he handled the ball outside, but that was just the angle I was looking at. We've seen a level, and his feet were outside the box, but he handled the ball right on the line for me.
I myself felt that he went outside the angle that we were seeing it in, but VAR did have a check of it during the game, so there's no debate on that. The ball was on the line, which means that it's still in play.
I tell you, that's a great. I remember when Darth Vader found out that Padme had died. We were thinking that when Sayed was coming on. No, and the whole ground starts shaking. Right, Arsenio. Socrates should have started instead of Holding. No, I don't think so. Holding. We got to give Holding a word. He was maybe wasn't the best defender on the pitch, but Tanner, you're looking around the pitch, and you didn't have disasters on the pitch. Granit Xhaka had a serviceable game. Holding had what I'm going to call serviceable games. And, a couple other players, I think Nketiah didn't really have an impact too much, but he helped a little bit. So there was nobody that you could throw in the trash just because of that game.
No, not at all. You know what? I think we had. I think for the most part we had slightly above average. Aubameyang, and his efforts, Pepe and his efforts, because I thought Aubameyang, man of the match, 2 goals, win the FA Cup, that's your man of the match. Pepe, honorable mention, because I thought he was dangerous all day long. But I don't think anybody really was that bad. There, like you said, right? That's a great way. There were no disasters, and even Chelsea's goal. And I've said this before. You know what? Sometimes you just got to take your hat off to the other guys because they get paid to play too. And it was a good. Nobody. You look at it, you can say, okay, should have done this, should have done that, could have, should have, would have. But they made the play. It wasn't a bonehead error by any of our defenders on the Chelsea goal. They get paid to play as well. And it was a. What's that?
Have you inserted a hockey reference yet?
I have not. It's coming. Okay. Just whoa! Hey! Stop rushing the brilliance. All right, don't rush the brilliance.
I don't want you to miss it.
Exactly. It's got to be organic, man.
Every podcast, Tanner's gonna insert a hockey reference somewhere. We just have to.
I kind of did in the comments because Alonso said, "How about them Pens?" And all I said was, "Ouch." Yeah. But yeah, nobody had a stinker. Nobody committed any egregious errors yesterday. I don't think Holding was terrible. If I had to rate him, I'd probably give him a 6.5. Again, defenders, unless they score a goal, and Holding can do that with his aerial ability. David Luiz can do that with his ability. Mustafi actually can. He's very good in the air on set pieces. But short of that, I don't want to see a defender's name in the post-match, report. I don't want to hear. If I don't hear your name, if I don't see your name, you're doing your job, period. And we didn't really talk about Rob Holding that much today.
Well, unless it was a masterclass like Tony Adams used to have back in.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a little different, and like David Luiz and Granit Xhaka had against Manchester City. Those are the exceptions because those were defensive masterclasses. Rob Holding, in my opinion, by and large, did his job yesterday.
December has this question in there. I believe we got a lot of injuries early on in our restart. Project Restart happened pretty badly for us. We lost Mari. We lost a couple of other defenders. We lost Martinelli before even games were started. Chelsea, I think the wear and tear may have just felt them out a little bit. In that we talked about Aspilicueta. He had a roasting in the first 30 minutes. And they've been rushing, trying to get top 4. They got top 4, and it just was going to be for Chelsea that they weren't fully fit.
Again, this is the thing that Lampard gave a very fair assessment. It was refreshing to see what he said, and he said that that everybody has had a tough run of fixtures. Everybody has played every 3 or 4 days, so we can't take that as an excuse. It's just unlucky that everything has come boiling down in one game, which it did. It was unlucky. I mean, we were pretty much playing our first choice 11. I mean, yeah, Leno was injured, but Martinez has really picked up, and he's as good as Leno, in my opinion, right now. And Mustafi got an injury, but Mustafi isn't Maldini, right? So his loss is bad, but it's not as bad compared to, if you look at Chelsea. I mean, Kante wasn't playing yesterday. Billion, who's been on form, wasn't playing yesterday. Azpilicueta got injured, although I feel like that's more of their own mistake that they didn't cover Azpilicueta and put him on a race with Aubameyang. What else was going to happen except him rupturing his hamstring, and then Pulisic got injured. It was unfortunate, but that's what the game is, right? So many times we play with injuries, and you just have to sort of turn up. But yeah, no denying that we had the advantage there.
Yep, and kind of like rolling the dice with David Luiz, we got some lucky numbers. We got snake eyes, and that helped us a little bit. You roll the dice. I feel like you roll the dice with David Luiz, and you're going to get a different kind of game every 3 or 4 games. But what we've been saying is,
I think in the back. I think in the back three's been. I think in the back three he's done very well. And you know what? He's turned my opinion on the year extension, because, as I mentioned earlier, with the playing of multiple styles, the 3 at the back versus the 4 at the back, depending on the opponent, David Luiz is he's managing the game from that central center back role. I think he's thriving in that. Really, I don't think he's good in the back 4. I think he's better in the back 3, and there's going to be a use for him next season because of this. You're going to see him come in. You're going to see us play in a back 3. And if at some point next season, because right now I have to think that David Luiz goes into next season, probably is one of the starting center halves for us. But if there comes a point in time where we go away from the back 3 and somebody overtakes him, there's still going to be a role for him on this team, especially in a back 3.
And you can see as well in the backstage, the backroom footage that he's quite well liked and maybe respected as well by the young kids. But David Luiz is consummate professional. He may turn in the odd. I think his real problem is when he's dealing with pace and he gets turned. He does these stupid things. But we did okay yesterday with it. Colonel Mustard, we call him Mustafi Colonel Mustard around here, and just a playful name for him. He didn't play. I'd have died, but it was nice to see Colonel Mustard celebrating with the rest of the team at the end. Rohan, we only have 3 fit centre backs after we sell Socrates, and we got to sell some of them. But Rohan, 81 minutes, Lacazette comes off and Nketiah comes on. He tried, and Eddie and Nketiah tried out there, but didn't really have much effect on the game.
But meant to hide from the game, because the onus was on Chelsea. The idea was to be an outlet, which he was.
A couple of times he was trying to combine with Aubameyang, didn't come off.
Lacazette played well yesterday. He like I said, in that whole tactical play of getting Zuma in field and then getting Aubameyang one-on-one with Azpilicueta, Lacazette was vital. But after that, at that point, we needed more injection of pace. We needed someone who could run behind the ball, who could, we could just force through the channels, and that's what Nketiah did. No problem with that.
Arsenio Wanga, you guys helped me. You're so awesome. You helped me like depression. Keep it at bay. Thanks, guys. You're helping me out a lot, and really appreciate that comment, Arsenio. It's a really, really good thing, and Arsenal had some part to play with it as well, I think, So really appreciate it. Stop by anytime. We're always here most Sundays, right? Holding looked rough in the first half. He grew into the game, but still isn't good enough. He's good enough to be part of a winning effort for a cup final team. Rohan?
Right. So Holding didn't have that game of 2017, right, where he was
right.
Have that. It wasn't the worst game in the world that he had. Whether or not he has a future at Arsenal, that's for another podcast. I mean, today's podcast is about showing the positives, and maybe Thursday, maybe next Thursday or Sunday we dissect what we could have improved in this game, and what
we won one of these, not a cardboard one, but we won a trophy, and that's something that other teams who claim to be a power shift ahead of us, this and that, celebrating getting sixth, but we're celebrating the trophy. So
exactly.
Here's
that they mocked us for saying that top four is a trophy, which in my opinion is still important, because I would love to play in that competition, and if there was, if I was given a question as to, there isn't enough time between the last game of the season and the FA Cup, and the last game of the season is important for us to get into the Champions League, I would prefer to put my strongest 11 for the Champions League game and not the FA Cup. That's just how I believe, and I think that's how Wenger used to believe it as well.
And that's how Lampard maybe approached it as well, right?
Yeah, pretty much, and that is why they had an intense game against Wolves, but they took care of it, and there was like a 5-day break in between it. So I don't think there's really an excuse there. It was
only Kante and Abraham, maybe you could say, would have been part of their team,
Yeah.
There was one thing I was going to talk about, but it kind of lost it there a second. I don't know. In winning the FA Cup, we're going to talk about the players, Tanner. Serviceable. All you need is a serviceable players, and for your main players to turn up, and that's what happened for us. Xhaka didn't have the worst game, didn't have the best game. Danny Ceballos played really, really well. Aubameyang, obviously, man in the match. Kieran Tierney, Tanner, if you buy winners, you're going to win things, right? Kieran Tierney.
Boy, that is a good way to put it, Ray. That might be a quote of your podcast career nominee. If you buy winners, you're going to win. Is that what you said?
Maybe it's not rocket science, right?
It's not rocket science. Winning begets winning. Period. That's it. And I mean, sometimes you have to teach it. In this business, you can teach it. You can also buy it. And we bought it last year with Kieran Tierney. It just a winning attitude, a winning mentality.
It's great.
It is. And you get guys that come in with a winning mentality, or if you can teach it. And we taught it yesterday. Mikel Arteta taught a winning mentality yesterday.
And the kids who have been on the bench and got a few minutes here and there, Willock and Ketier, even Smith, the kid that came on, they're going to get that experience, Rohan, to what Tanner's saying. You learn how to win. You learn how to be around winners. And the reports were when Tierney first arrived, they were telling him to slow down a little bit. You're training too hard, Rohan. Paid off in the end, right?
It did, and I hope that he never changes his attitude. He is a model professional. We love him for that. He's got no, his shirt is tucked into his shorts. He doesn't have a fancy hairstyle. He plays the game like he played it back in the day, right?
Proper old school footballer, man. Short sleeves, shirt tucked in. Let's go to work.
Really quick on the question of the goalkeeper. We're going to wrap this up with a nice yellow ribbon here, okay? Really quick on the goalkeepers. I want to keep both keepers.
Is that just a general statement you want us to go on, or is there more to that?
No, I want to get your viewpoint on should we sell one or do we keep two?
I think if the right offer comes in for one, you have to sell them. And right now, I think you're splitting hairs with the two of them.
Yeah.
I am still of the mind. I don't want to take anything away from Emi Martinez. God bless him. God bless his family. I've read the story of everything that he went through coming over here, and that's a guy I want to root for. That being said, it's going to be tough to keep both of them. And let's keep in mind as well that this is a small sample size. Okay, Bernd Leno did this in Germany, and he's done it for roughly a year and a half here now. So the Emi Martinez thing, it is a small sample size. I want to try. I would love to keep both. I just don't see how you're going to keep them both happy. And I really do think somebody's going to come in for an offer for Emi Martinez, and I think the offer is going to come from somebody in the Premier League, and I think it's going to come from a team that we don't want to sell him to.
Well, I don't want to sell him to Chelsea. Do you want to sell him to Chelsea?
I don't want to sell him. I don't want to sell him. Understand that, but I think somebody. Look, I don't want to sell him to Chelsea. I don't want to sell him to Man United. But I think either one of those two clubs could come in and make an offer that really makes the board sit down and say,
yeah.
Do we want the money, or do we not want to sell him to a chief rival? Which is it going to be? And at the end of the day, the question then becomes, what's the most important thing? To screw over your rival, or take the money and improve your squad. And look, at the end of the day, it's a business. So if Chelsea came in with an offer of $35 million for Emi Martinez, probably taking it.
Yeah,
probably taking it. I think Leno's worth a little more than that because he's done it more. Let's keep that in mind. But yeah, if Chelsea or United came in with an offer of $35-40 million for Emi Martinez, and I'd actually probably go to Chelsea and be like, wait a minute, you paid $80 for that shitbag Kepa, whatever his last name is. I can't pronounce it. But
Kepa, yeah.
But you paid $80 for him. I want $100 for my guy because my guy's infinitely better than that stiff.
Tierney practices the way he plays, and we love it.
I was going to make that comment. I saw something where when they said that he was training too hard, and he made a comment, something along the lines of, "You practice the way you want to play."
That's the way it is.
And I've heard that before as well.
Rowan, goalkeeper situation.
See, I am a firm believer that you need two quality players in every position if you're going to challenge for the title, because you never know when an injury is coming. The no title is won with just 11 players. A title is won with like 16, 17, 18 players, right?
Yeah.
You have to keep things fresh. You have to keep everyone thinking that, looking over their shoulder and knowing that there's somebody else there to take their place. So, right now I'm really happy with the situation. And for me, the way I look at things generally in life is that this is just lost. We are talking about lost profits here, right? Like or a revenue that we could have had, but say about 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, we never thought that Emi was going to be worth that much. So now all of a sudden we're looking at it and we're thinking that he's a cash cow, right? That being said, this, I have said this before, and maybe this is my closing statement, that, this is the most important, it is the most important transfer window of Arsenal Football Club in the past 30 years. Since I have been a fan, this is the most important transfer window in which effective rules don't apply. We need to spend as much money to solidify the situation. We'll get into what places we need to solidify in future podcasts, but we need to spend 150 million, maybe even 200, to be competitive with Chelsea and Manchester United. Just, I'm not even talking about challenging for the title. Mm-hmm. And so for that, if the board had plans for, let's say, spending 100 million already, then with sales we need to generate another 100 million, and Emi could be part of that bargain. But I want to sell him only if those additional funds go into our transfer kitty, and not for it to be a substitute for some money that we already had kept aside.
Sure. Yeah, so I think it's a 2-1 here. Tanner would not be against it, right, Tanner? If an offer came on the table, and
That's what it is. I'm not actively
oh,
looking to sell the
sure,
player.
sure. We're in a situation where we do have to generate some funds. It won't be what sold last season.
Right.
Listen, we're going to wrap it up there. We could go on for another 2 hours, right? It's just that we all have commitments, and I really appreciate Tanner's time, and I appreciate Rowan's time. I don't want to abuse that, so they can come on to the next podcast at some point in time. But really, really active in the comments. Really, really appreciate it, and I really appreciate Arsenal and what they did for us yesterday. Another trophy to put in the cabinet. Yeah, we can get gas temporarily at it, but I think the moniker now for the club is always forward, and I think we have to look forward now. And players that we weren't going to mention today, if they're not on the bus, on the train with Arteta, the the train's moving forward, right, guys? And we're going to move forward with this thing. The what?
Chew.
Choo choo. Um, Tremendous satisfaction with Frank Lampard being disappointed. Really did not want him to lord it over Arteta, to be the first rookie coach, as they say, to get a trophy. But Rowan, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Tanner, thanks for your time. And
Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Gooners worldwide, please celebrate this. Take a week or two to celebrate this. It's a really big thing because we need to give the club time to get a transfer strategy in place as well, and for Aubameyang to do what we hope he's going to do and sign the thing. You know what I mean?
Sign the thing, man.
Until the game was until we finished the season in a bearable, maybe a little bit more than bearable fashion. We got a trophy out of a long and arduous season that spanned Emery, Freddie Ljungberg. Kudos to Freddie Ljungberg for what he did and the work he continues to do. BFG, we got to talk about him. He's done tremendous things with the academy, and I think the one guy who has been helped by all of those, Mikel Arteta, he's come in, and without those people helping him in the background, he said it himself, he would not be able to do what he did in the last 7 months. So
He also mentioned the Wenger.
mentioned Wenger also at yeah, and we continue on from what Arsene Wenger has continued to do, to win trophies, win FA Cups. We got to look forward now. Always forward. We got to look upwards, up the table, and we got to look at trophies that. Uh, this is a prestigious trophy for me, but we want to be looking at a title. We got a challenge for a title. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here. Thanks everyone for watching live. Thanks everyone who will watch it on playback. Slap a like if you like the channel. Hit the subscribe if you're new around here, and check us all out later. You'll find Rohan on a podcast near you, and Tanner's got his own gig on the Bearded Gooners, so go check him out as well. Thanks everyone. Come on, you Gooners, up the Arsenal. We won the cup. 14. Number 14 was the cup. We're out of here.